Hi there, Josh Sass again with your next episode of Local Pros. With me today, I have the 2023 Northern Ontario champion of the MP40 division and former voice of True North Disc Golf Productions, Justin Murphy. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you very much for having me.
So just before we get into the disc golf stuff, what's your background prior to disc golf in terms of like sports or anything else?
It's a good question. I've played hockey my whole life. I still play now. Played junior growing up. I guess baseball I played for a long time. Disc golf overtook baseball because I have a young family, and I could only do one thing and be a good dad and husband at the same time. So I dropped baseball to continue. Disc golf. We all know it hooks into our veins, and it's impossible to quit for most of us at least. So I did that. I golfed a little bit, but now disc golf has ruined that as well because golf is too expensive and takes too long, and I don't have patience for it. When you can play a 45-minute, disc golf round and be completely satisfied. So, yeah, hockey, baseball, I guess, and baseball, I guess, kind of helped with disc golf, hopefully.
Yeah. So how did you get from what you're doing then into disc golf? Was it just meeting some other people in the area? Because I don't know that. Does Huntsville have a lot of courses up there? I haven't been that recently.
Yeah, there are enough for sure. I only moved here 2.5 years ago, but I was from Kitchener. So,
okay.
So where I learned to play was actually RIP Chicopee in Kitchener, which is one of the greatest courses I've ever played, and it was a really good course to learn on for distance shots, technical shots, elevation up and down. So how I started there was I had a neighbor across the street named Zach, also a good disc golfer in Ontario. And we just had never really known each other. And I was just trying to kind of get to know other dads and stuff in the neighborhood. And he's like, hey, listen, man, like I play this game called disc golf. It's like it's Frisbees with golf. And I'm like, I don't know if that sounds that great. It's not really up my alley. I got a lot of stuff going on at that time. I had a 6 and 3-year-old. And I'm like, I guess I should try it maybe once. So we went to Chicopee with he gave me like a Stratus and a magnet. And he's like, all right, throw. And I'm like, you need to show me something. Like, I don't even understand what I'm supposed to do right now. So he showed me a throw, and I threw on hole 1 at Chicopee. I was like, okay. And then, hole 2 and 3, you start to learn how to flatten the disc out. And by I think hole 5, I want to say, I said to him, I go, you got to teach me, tell me where I can buy these discs. How do you become a member here? Teach me the way, how to putt properly. What are the rules? This is unbelievable. So literally, Josh, it was 6-7 holes into it, and I'd never been more in love with the sport. It was really that fast. It was strange.
That is one of the courses that, unfortunately, because I only started in 2020, Chicopee, I don't think has been in the ground or has been used since before COVID, which is really unfortunate because I hear such wonderful things about it from guys that played back then, from you and Colleen and Brownie and all that are just it was such a fun course. Why doesn't it why can't they reopen? I'm like, I wish I knew because I hear all these stories and I want to go play it. It just hasn't been available.
If it ever opens back up again, which I've heard rumblings that it could, it's just a fantastic, phenomenal course, and you should definitely, who knows when it's going to be shut down again. So I would take your chances and go out there and maybe, miss work or something for a day and go play it if it ever comes back into it. But I think for Chicopee, it was more it just didn't make sense financially. They weren't going to have staff on during the pandemic. They weren't doing. It's a big kids day camp kind of place. So they had a couple hundred kids running around in there, and it made sense for them to have, be open for the 10 or 12 disc golfers that might show up there, and it's no skin off their back. But when there's no one else there, and maybe insurance or liability reasons, maybe they had to just say no one's allowed here anymore. It's too bad because we put a lot of work into that course. Dwayne Chris specifically, I know he basically built that thing from the ground up. And it really is. When you hear a lot of people speak of these courses in Canada or Ontario specifically that are just everyone's different skill levels has, good things to say about a course. Another example being Project 15. It's got to be good. You can hear Thomas Gilbert tell you Project 15 is good. and then some AM players saying it's good. So that's the sign of a good course. And hopefully we get Chicopee back one day, because it holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I'm sure the Kitchener crew has been trying to work on it, on getting it back at least, because I know a lot of them are really passionate about that course as well.
And a lot of them are in your scenario where they all started during the pandemic. Like a lot of Kitchener players have, like we used to have 20 guys at league at Chicopee, and now there's like 60 or 80 at Foxwood. So a lot of these players like you have never seen the course, and they only hear rumblings of it. So we got to get it back open again.
I'd say maybe that would have been a Zach Joliffe project, but now that he's kind of stepped away from disc golf for renewable energy, it might be a little bit to get him back.
Well, that's the guy that got me into disc golf. So hopefully he, I love Zach. He's a good buddy, and hopefully he gets his career sorted out, which sounds like it's going really well, and he can kind of balance both.
So I was gonna say, it was a while before I met you, because we always had played in different divisions and they didn't always overlap. But I've heard you originally as a commentator for True North Disc Golf Productions. Sorry, back when they were filming some of the tournaments here. So how did you get involved with them?
I don't remember that. Oh, yes. So there's a guy named Adam Hussey. You'll probably know him. He's another Grand River, high up kind of Grand River guy. Been around for a long time. He started playing before me, actually. He, was it Foxwood? I think it was the Foxwood Open, I believe. The first Foxwood Open. They had secured this True North Disc Golf to come, set up a camera crew, and this guy was all in. This guy had just bought all this equipment and had the mics and had the staff, like 4 or 5 people to run around and stuff. And he said he didn't have a commentary crew. And Adam just knows that myself and my brother, are talkers and we're funny. He said, so he's like, you gotta try these guys. And I loved it. I thought we were good at it. Yeah, it was a really good time. But it just kind of Adam Hussey just kind of said, these guys are good. You should try them. And it worked out, and it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was always fun listening to you guys, because I mean, you had the insight of the courses, because I guess a lot of the ones they were filming were ones that you guys played on, or at least you played on fairly regularly, and you just had a really good rapport with your brother. So it's always fun in a commentary here to get that kind of stuff, for sure.
Yeah, you need chemistry for sure, and to understand how feeding. We're brothers, so that was easy, but feeding off the other guy and understanding your role, even if it is just a team. Like I guess I would be more the silly guy, and Julian is such a good organizing our thoughts and like the whole layouts and stuff, and he's an intelligent disc golfer too. So it just worked.
So I see that you're kind of splitting your time over the last couple of years between MPO and MP40. Are you kind of leaning one way or the other moving forward, or it'll depend on the event?
I let my body take that. Sometimes I feel like a 40-year-old, sometimes I don't. But I think normally, Josh, I go by disc golf's not about the money, but I guess where I have an opportunity to win a bit, or a better chance to win, let's say, maybe not necessarily the money. An A tier with the kids we have coming up, like Vanderveen and Jake Voskamp and Kalen Schadt and all these guys, if I'm going to compete with them, it's got to be on a shorter technical course. That is otherwise I just can't compete. So, yeah, I think as a lot of players in my scenario, I'm fortunate enough to be, I'd say, good enough to kind of compete in open on the right course. But I know in MP40 that I have a better chance of winning, and I put more pressure on myself in MP40, and I find it more stressful, which I like, because I play better under pressure, because I tell myself I need to win every time I play Masters. Whether I'm playing GG, I think Martin now is also a 40-plus guy, which is kind of scary. Oz will be there soon. But whether I'm playing any of those guys, I still expect to win, and I want to win. So, I just kind of go by tournament. Smaller C tiers, maybe. Like, for example, I did Dreammaker last year. Thomas came in and kind of crapped on all of us, but I finished second. Yeah.
I mean, when he plays, it's a different game, because there's shots that he has, because he's got all that length and all that distance, that it's just like, sorry.
Yeah, no, he's our guy. He's Canada's guy, and Chantel too now, which is so exciting. hopefully some of the kids I mentioned earlier can, I don't know, maybe Kaylin's really young. Maybe they'll, put time and effort into it and want to do that kind of thing and be another touring player from Canada besides kind of Marty here and there and then Thomas, because it'd be nice to get some more players for sure. Sure, it's not going to be me.
And maybe you'll go the Marty route and just compete in the Masters division down there.
I have been thinking about it, and this year they have I'm not sure if they've had it before, but I noticed they have a Masters tour on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I've been eyeing up a few events and kind of looking at the ratings of players, not taking too much stock in that, but kind of comparing myself where I would stack up, and I think I could compete decently down there for cash, so that'd be kind of cool. That's definitely on the radar this year.
So is there anything in your game that you're working on this off season to kind of prepare for next year?
So I've reached the point now that I know I'm not going to have some aha moment. I've been playing for almost 8 years where I'm just going to be like, oh, I can throw 500 feet. So I guess for me, I started as a sidearm guy for 2 or 3 years. I realized that to play this game longer, that wasn't going to be sustainable for the way I threw a sidearm and still throw a sidearm. So I needed to learn how to shape backhands and confident with backhands. So I did that in 2020 and 2021, worked really hard on it. And it really did reflect my ratings and my tournament finishes. I went up to like a 989 that year when I started mixing in backhands and stuff. So it really did work out well. But for this year, I say the same thing to every single player, whether you started last year or you started 10 years ago. I work on putting, and I think everyone should be working on putting all the time. You want to get to a point where it's just routine, whether you're in front of 200 people or you're just in your basement. And I'm always comfortable putting no matter the situation. And I'm pretty sure it's because of the practice I put in. And I know I'm a good C2 and C1 putter.
So you mentioned your being predominantly forehand. Is that a lot of the baseball background coming in? Because it seems to be a common theme for people.
I think you're right. And honestly, if you watch a proper sidearm, on the Disc Golf Pro Tour or anyone, it's not mine. I make mine work with throwing overstable discs really hard, but it's not sustainable. So yeah, definitely from baseball, I was a shortstop and a third baseman, and it 100% is the throw. It's a good tool to have, but I'm trying to throw it less and less every year, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. You like your shoulder enough, or your shoulder and elbow enough that you don't want to be out of commission?
100%. And I'm also a plumber, and I work really, really hard doing that stuff over my head, and the repetitive motion injuries you get from being a tradesperson alone. It's all part of it. So you have to balance it. So, because job is unfortunately more important than disc golf.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I'm just glad that you're, I haven't seen too many players like Jake Wolf who come from the baseball background and just like throw for all overhand. I'm like, so I caddied for Marty this year for one round at Worlds, and Jake was on the card. I'm just like, I don't know how your arm hasn't fallen off yet.
I was there. I saw you caddying for Marty, and I watched Jake, and I don't understand. I mean, he's young, so it's him, Chandler, Kramer, these guys. It's just going to happen. They're going to get injuries, and they're going to have to figure out. Look, well, it happened to Eagle, right? You're going to have to figure out different ways to spin the disc if you want to continue playing the game. Because the more you learn, I knew I had to learn a backhand, and I'm sure they do too. But the more you get comfortable throwing flip ups and left turning shots as a righty with a sidearm, the easier it's going to be to not ever learn a backhand, which is something that you need. The backhand is something you can throw over and over with, I think, way less chance of an injury if you do it properly.
So any specific goals you have for 2024?
My goals stay the same every year. I guess there's personal ones, but the number one goal, and I say this to everybody and they think it's lame, number one goal is be a good card mate. That's always a goal. I try to be funny. I try to keep it loose. And I oftentimes find that guys, girls, people, doesn't matter. They play well when they're with me. And I love to watch someone shred, whether they're directly competing against me or not. I think it's so fun to watch people playing well. So I like to keep the card loose because for the most part, that keeps the person playing well and within reason. I also don't want to be too stupid when you have to read the room. But so number one is always be a good card mate and just be better at that, cheering on my fellow card mates. Number two is just being a good person. Like I was saying before, like a cheerleader for the other group. other people on my card. But as for personal goals and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm planning maybe, it looks like we have nationals in BC, which is pretty cool. I'd love to finish top 5 there in the Masters division. And then also get a couple more wins in the Masters division, and maybe play a couple open events and surprise some people.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing you out there, and there's definitely no missing you when you're on the disc golf course, especially for a tournament with you're certainly a colorful individual out there.
I like the mantra of like, look good, feel good, play good. You got some pretty nice jerseys out there too. I've seen some bright ones on you. You like the Gilbert jerseys.
You know what? I gotta thank Luke and the guys at Diameter, because they put out some really cool stuff.
I bought one at Worlds, and it's the flashiest shirt ever, and I love it. It looks like a desert layout. I'll probably bust it out next year at a tournament somewhere.
Oh, for sure. So before I let you go, I just have a little rapid fire round for you.
Awesome.
So first off, favorite disc in your bag?
2017 Sexton Firebird that has been in there since 2017.
Favorite person to play a casual round with?
Sebastian, my son.
Favorite course that you've played?
Ever? I'm going to go ahead and say Brazos East Park, Waco, Texas.
That looks like a fun course. I'll have to get down to Texas eventually and play some of those courses.
I played at the Waco Annual Charity Open. It was amazing. It was like one of those, like, scratch it off your bucket list. My wife's like, just go down and sign up and play. Who cares? And I got to play with some really cool people. It was awesome.
We actually had someone that was out at Sunday Club for a while last year who was over from England, and before he went back, he went down to Texas to play in the AM side of that event. And they actually were using the golf course that I think was supposed to be introduced to this year's Waco event.
Oh, wow.
And that's the one. It's across the water, like where I think Thomas and KJ were throwing all those discs a couple years ago.
I've seen Alden and Gannon and Isaac and those guys throw from there too. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, he said nothing but good things about the courses down there. So I'll eventually have to get over there. A bucket list course, somewhere you really want to go to that you haven't been.
The Beast. Nokia, Finland, 100%.
And if you could put together your dream foursome at any course, who would you play with, and where would it be?
Anybody.
Ken Climo from back in the day, if you want him.
Oh, I can go I can span generations, can I?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. The course, I don't really know the course, to be honest. I guess let's just say, for the sake of it, the Beast in Finland, because that'd be really cool. Definitely Paul Ulibarri is probably one of my favorite people. He looks really chill on the course. I love the way he plays. He reminds me of myself because he's older. Doesn't have a ton of distance. Relies a lot on putting and mental game and stuff like that. So Yuli. I played with some of these guys before. I think number 2 would have to be Kevin Jones. I feel like he's a kind of a similar personality on a card to myself, which I think I would really enjoy. It might be too much talking and jokes on one card, but it has to be Kevin Jones for sure, number 2. Ulibarri, and I'm going to go Thomas Hums. Thomas Hums is my guy. He's my bald brother. We both love Avatar. We both play well when we're playing with each other. I've seen him drop some dimes. It's crazy. That guy's got so much skill. So I'm gonna say Thomas Hums will be be my 4th on my card. That
sounds like a really fun card. If that ever happens, you definitely have to videotape that round.
We'll film it, and I'll do commentary, and we'll get Julian out of retirement too. It'll be fun.
Sounds good, Justin. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to seeing you next season.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks.